exactly how it works, but yes.
Here we are. We're all live talking about AI again. How's it going?
It's going great. We now see that there are 4 companies that have gotten $200 million from the Defense Department to do AI: Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and xAI.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's interesting, right? That the government, at some level, the DoD is leaning into AI, and it's super important. And we'll see how that evolves the environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
What everyone's talking about the big checks to everybody. We talked about that last time.
Do you mean talking about like windsurf and how like our legal system
Oh,
is
yeah.
so corrupt that you have to create these sort of weird structures in order to get people compensated?
Like you're not allowed to do acquisitions, you're saying? To
Yeah, they
prevent.
can't do M&A, traditional M&A, and so then they do this sort of like weird hybrid acqui-hire thing where they license the technology from the company and then hire all the principals.
Yeah.
Seems like a
Yeah.
really good way to fuck over all of the equity holders, 2 or 3 versions of this down the line. So maybe in Windsurf's case, everybody was made whole, but like the next guy and the next guy and the next guy to do it just sounds like super toxic.
Yeah, people will invest in startups less and not trust that they'll make their money back,
The other
unfortunately.
thing is, I don't understand why the government um, puts all these restrictions on M&A. So
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about how, oh, they shouldn't have allowed the Instagram acquisition or the WhatsApp acquisition, even though those were kind of tiny compared to some of these deals, or the Instagram was at least.
it's not even clear to
YouTube.
me that you can have a demand side economy of scale antitrust action.
Yeah.
So, like certainly, if you have a supply side economy of scale, like the situation with Standard Oil or the telcos, where having a big system allowed you to make things cheaper, and so it was never possible for anyone to compete, then you could be in a situation where you wouldn't want M&A. And I guess you could say that like Apple and Google's app stores had some version of this. Um, but like the idea of Instagram or WhatsApp or YouTube being like acquisitions that shouldn't have been allowed to happen is just totally absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's what kind of Lena Khan and other people were trying to do. But yeah.
I just feel like they just fundamentally didn't understand the difference between a supply side economy of scale and a demand side economy of scale.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because nobody uses Google because it's the cheapest search engine.
My
Just like,
founder friends were saying stories about their acquisitions and how it was they chose to give a bunch of money to their team, and they find it weird that Windsurf was not. The founders were not doing that.
well, after the global financial crisis, we got all these people came into the environment from New York, and those people are not the traditional like Silicon Valley, we're all going to win together types. They're much more sort of ruthless. And so
Yeah.
that was my experience was that, well, and then
All those MBAs.
the other thing was there was a lot of ZERP folks who showed up, and those people were quite incompetent. Like I have a hard time talking to any capital allocator that joined the market post 2009 at all, because like all of their sort of insights about company formation and growth and everything, it just like they just don't make sense because I think they were selected for in a zero interest rate environment.
They think only things only go up. Thanks, Joshua Lysek. Shout out to Joshua Lysek for the Ghostwriter for reposting the stream
Yeah,
on
thank
X.
dude. Joshua has a huge following, so thanks, Joshua. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. All right, so let's set aside M&A unless you really want to talk about it. What do you think about Grok 4 Heavy or what Elon's doing with xAI? Do you think it matters given that OpenAI seems to have a pretty stable 80% market share?
Yeah, since we're going viral on X, we should probably talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me hear your
Well,
thoughts. Did you download the AI
they're doing a
companion?
great. I haven't used Grok 4. I've seen the benchmarks. It seems like it's near the top. And he's certainly very good at building data centers and
Yeah.
is building out a big data center. Oh, the cool thing I heard is he's shipping a natural gas plant from Europe
Yeah.
to Tennessee so that they can have their own I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a crazy scale. I
And
can't
anybody,
imagine
by the
like
way, anybody
move
who
a
wants,
power plant.
yeah, anybody who wants to own like a terawatt order book of natural gas turbines, you should talk to me because I have a startup that needs like $1 million to make 3D printed NGTs, and just reach out. They're having a hard time getting money, and we have like a whole order book for them. There, and
Wow.
it's what's really interesting about NGTs is there's a 90-month 90 wait list on any incremental 1 megawatt plus turbine.
Yeah.
And so these guys are going to go to market with like a 1 to 10 megawatt box that fits in a shipping container.
What's the link? We'll post it.
I forget what it was. Just reach out to me on
sponsorship.
reach out to me on X, and I'll connect you.
National Gas. I think it's called the National Gas Turbines Are Us. Like this.
Yeah, something like that. And anyway, what's really interesting is we talk with PE at Caterpillar and all these different like NGT manufacturers in general, and they're like, oh well, we can deploy like $100 million. And I was like, no, you need like $1 or $2 million, and so they don't want to invest. And then to your previous point about venture not being very smart and only sort of like following the herd, it's not an AI play.
Well, I never said that. Never. That's your
okay.
words.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. I wouldn't want to attribute something negative to you while you're in the middle of fundraising. But my point is just like natural gas turbines, so like commodities is a really important thing. So anyway, yeah. All right, next topic. So
Grok 4 is I think they're still not live searching tweets, right? So again, why aren't they using their natural advantage of live searching tweets? He seems to want it to be kind of just following.
So let me ask you this question technically. Is there a way to update on like an hourly basis these things? I don't think so, right? Because don't you have to update all the weights, and that takes like weeks?
You can do RAG. You can search RAG the tweets live and then show it a lot faster. And they have instant access to every tweet, and also all 1 million tweets in the last 24 hours. Like you can literally just have it in memory and just search it in memory. It doesn't make sense.
Okay. All right. I do know that X has trouble with the XAI. So like X and XAI are now the same company, and XAI is kind of gets all the resources, and X doesn't really get any resources. So
right. He fired everyone in X, and they're putting XAI into Teslas.
There was literally like one person who was in charge of the product of X, and that person was like well underfunded, and like basically like they weren't paying enough money for a VP level person, and so it was basically a junior director of engineering. It was like the one guy on product. And then they got Nikita to come on. I don't think Nikita is very good, but that's just me. And I think this guy Nikolai is the right person. So if anyone from X sees this, you should hire Nikolai. He's asked multiple times, but he needs a team, so you should pay him.
There's a really good product person on X called Signal. He seems very sharp. He seems to really get a lot of product, especially in dating, but I bet on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Nikita Beer, you should say what you want to say about him, but you should say it in more of like a flame posting way, so it goes viral. That way, it's like virality is all that matters. So just
yeah, I think there's a reason why Nikita's 2 startups didn't make it.
Yeah. So I
shots fired.
Yeah, I think X has a CEO that recently left.
Yeah, she after the Mecha Hitler, within 2 days, she bounced.
Yeah, and a lot of users have left. I used to read X pretty religiously, and I left mostly.
Yeah,
a lot of the AI community left. A lot of groups have been leaving one by one. Threads is actually going to be bigger than X soon. Has more MAU, like actual usage.
Nice.
Yeah, so
it's good to have competition with these things.
Yeah, it turns out making Nazi salutes actually has downstream effects.
Give us a break.
Has downstream effects.
You can
pretend to like it's a joke, but it will affect your business in Europe and in X and in the US.
Give us a break.
At least those Teslas aren't on fire anymore.
Give us a break. Let's go back to Grok 4. Jeez.
Okay, Grok 4, AI. So Grok 4, I don't know who would want to use Grok 4 when it's run by a Nazi. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on, let's steer away.
But actually, like, even if it has comparable benchmarks, are you going to choose? like maybe not Sam Altman, but like why not use
Sam
Claude,
Altman
right?
is
Why?
literally the Antichrist. Okay, so your choice is the
Well,
Antichrist, Hitler, or the guys who are so obsessed with safety, but safety is really code for we want to do our own political alignment.
they're not. Claude is not as interested in safety as much anymore now that they realize that LLMs are not the actual solution to AGI, right? They don't have this many. I
I
haven't
mean,
hit any.
you tell me, because you're the
I use
expert on
I
this.
use Claude. I don't see it. I haven't hit
I
any. Oh,
personally
I
think
can't do this right now anymore.
so. I have kind of an interesting thing with my AI tools as well, where my locally run sort of like DeepSeek Qwen derivative is good. And you're like,
Yeah,
Michael, why are you using a Chinese AI? And it's like, because their open source AIs are
it's
fucking
open
good.
source. Yeah, I think it's great.
Like,
You're using a
like
deep. You're doing
and if
Qwen 3 or DeepSeek
so, I'm using.
quantized.
I'll hang on 1 second. Let me just pull it up.
I think, by the way, everyone at home, you should run your own local version
Yes.
of these AIs because you can get it uncensored and you can not have Sam Altman spying on you. Because I
Okay.
know you're using ChatGPT and you should not be using ChatGPT.
So I use two. I have two models that I switch between: DevStroll Small 2505 4-bit quantization, and DeepSeek R1 0528 Qwen 3B 8B,
Oh, nice.
which is an
Wait,
8-bit.
it uses DeepSeek and Quen.
Yeah.
That's just I don't know what that means.
I think the first one is the base model, and then the second one is some distillation or something like that.
Are you using LM Studio?
I am.
Okay, so
Yep.
we'll advertise LM Studio. They sponsored the show.
Yep.
Use
LM
LM Studio to
Studio.
run your local.
That's right. I use LM Studio. Yeah, it's 8 GB. All goes into RAM. It's the correct speed for me. So there's a trade-off between how large the model is and like how many tokens per second. And what I found is DeepSeek R1 0528 with by Qwen B is just like really good. It's like
really good,
really good.
amazing.
Yeah, it's good enough for like almost all of my. So like I do a lot of submissions for the federal government. So it's like funny to have like a Chinese AI like reading all these documents and then doing the submissions.
And see it thinking in Chinese. And people
Yeah,
are like,
yeah.
why
Like
is it thinking in
and
Chinese?
every once in a while, like spit out something in Chinese. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't submit this to the so and so Chinese characters in it. But yeah, I think it's going really well. The state of the art stuff is I use Grok or Claude, but again, that's just more like when I need it to do tasks like research. But in terms of like giving it raw data, that DeepSeek R1 0528 is pretty good.
I still find ChatGPT to be the best at deep research. I tried Claude again, and it just doesn't hit like ChatGPT.
Yeah, I like I said, I feel like Sam is the Antichrist, so I try to stay away from him. So I don't really have any basis of comparison with ChatGPT.
Oh, okay. I recommend you try deep research with ChatGPT for your next big research thing. You'll have a nice 20-page report. It's really, really good.
Okay, I'll do that.
Or like you plan a vacation, again, ChatGPT, much better, much more detailed, much better.
Yeah.
I think Claude, oh, here's the big news last week. Claude Code. So Cursor, Windsurf had a drama. Cursor had drama because they had to raise their prices, and everyone in Hacker News moved from Cursor to Claude Code.
Yeah, and then it was like good.
Claude is growing like crazy.
But now they need to raise their prices.
They're making 4 billion ARR now, Claude.
Yeah. Well,
so
I think OpenAI is at 10, right?
At 10. So that means Claude's only half as big, right? And a
well,
lot more
what's
momentum.
Interesting is if you look at the charts of usage, it shows that ChatGPT has 80% market share. And so I wonder, so obviously the mix of free versus paid is much better in Anthropic's point of view.
Yeah.
And I sort of have this suspicion, and I'm right about this, but it's still a suspicion, so I'm open to being wrong, which is that like people that pay are worth more to the system than people that don't. Like I think it's actually like a disutility to have free users.
Having easy marketing is definitely great. They have a lot more mind share in the world. Like almost no one talks about Anthropic or Claude, whereas constantly, ChatGPT can open any door and close any deal in record time because of that. Like it's always good to have that kind of mind share. Anthropic should really take the advice I was sending them 2 years ago. They should focus more on consumer. I was offering to help them on growth from my experience at Lyft doing growth on consumer side. So maybe they'll start doing it. I'm offering again.
They could integrate like a Hangout into Claude Code so you could listen to music while you're coding.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They do a collaborative, they want to do more collaborative mode, right? So what if you are listening to music with other people while you're
I'm
in
telling you,
Claude
man,
Code?
it's all games.
Yeah, just make games with Claude. But yeah, Claude Code's great. It just lets you, it just writes code in your terminal. You can use whatever editor you want. It makes a lot more sense for engineers to use that, and now everyone's on board with that.
Yeah.
Claude
Yeah.
is
The other
Claude's very
thing,
good.
the other
Also,
demand. Go ahead.
Anthropic, they have much higher retention of employees. People love staying at Anthropic. Like people,
Well, because I feel like Elon is a taskmaster and Sam is like a Machiavellian antichrist, right? And so by comparison, Dara, is that what his name is?
Dario.
Dario just seems like kind of like a normal nerd. Like he's like
Yeah,
not
like
trying to take over the world. He's not like hell bent on, some kind of transhumanist nightmare. It's just,
that's right. Yeah, that's true.
Nazism. There you go. You got me to say it. So right. Doesn't
Yeah.
do political side quests. Is
But also the momentum they've had is amazing as well. I mean, I guess Grok has had even more momentum given where they started like just months ago. But it's pretty impressive how far Claude has gone so quickly.
The interesting thing for me about Grok specifically was in the presentation that Elon gave, he seemed really personally moved or upset. So I know Elon is sociopathic and can sort of manipulate people, and that's his thing. But sometimes the mask falls, and I felt like he was very disturbed by the fact that Grok 4 Heavy was doing so well on humanity's last exam. I think the idea that he wasn't smarter than the machine everywhere, I think it disturbs him. Like the guy is really petty about being the best Polytopia player and being the best Diablo player and being seen as being one of the greatest business mind strategists of history. And the fact that this sort of like lights and clockwork box is able to out reason him on all of these problems, I think it personally disturbs him. And I think what's interesting about that for me is that's something that we're all going to have to go through, because I think
he has a very big ego. Does everyone else have as much ego?
I think everybody has an ego. I don't know if they have as large an ego, but I think everybody at some level believes they're the main character in their own life. And a lot of people like you and me who have been selected for our intelligence, right? Like a lot of our success, quote unquote, comes from our intelligence. The idea that now we are like obviously children compared to this thing that performs better than graduate students in every single possible task, I think it's like going to be a real ego death for a lot of people.
So someone wrote an interesting LinkedIn post that was talking about how, yes, all of these AIs are very good at passing a test, right? That's what they are often at this point kind of optimized for, passing these exams, humanity's last exam, all of this stuff. And he pointed out that therefore it really shifts the value that humans have always provided to asking the right questions. And that's always been true. I mean, it's partly been true with mathematics as well. Sometimes the proof is actually not that hard. Sometimes it is hard, and we've had long-standing problems, and people eventually solve them or not. But a lot of the time, a lot of mathematics is actually just about framing the problem in a certain way, because all mathematics is made based on assumptions and corollaries and things that are just kind of ground. Could be any kind of axioms, but it's about choosing those axioms, asking the right questions around them to build something that provides insight into the mathematical world, into this kind of self-referential made-up world. And so, yeah, it will, we have this tool that can solve a lot of the answers that we need very quickly. Like if I wrote some very clear test cases, I would hope that today's AIs or next year's AIs can like build out software that passes those tests pretty easily. But will it be doing a great job of picking the right tests to run, like choosing the right software to run, picking the right requirements for a user? It won't be there. I mean, maybe with embodied robotics, it'll start to get a bit closer, but it'll never totally solve what I want because I can only feel that, you
No,
know?
right. And so this is why the push for communism with AI is going to fail.
Why will it fail?
I'm really glad that you
Throw it out
brought that
there. Throw it
up
out
because
there. New
you have
thesis.
socialist
We have some
tendencies. And
original research here. Go for it. Go.
yeah, no, like I'm really glad that you said that because you have socialist tendencies. So like if the AI is not able to figure out what the correct question for Joseph Perla is, then it's not going to get the right answer because basically like what you just said in a nutshell is all of our problems are really just asking the right question, and then if you can ask the right question, the solution falls out as an obvious thing.
Yeah, we should have some kind of
Yeah, so there's
constitutional democracy.
There's sort of like two things that fall out from that for me. First one is that 15 years ago we were focused on the Turing test and when does robots, sound better than humans. And now what you've said is basically like, okay, take all that shit and we're going to scope it down to this very specific implementation, which is, well, it's not really good at asking questions. It's like, okay, but the trajectory from is it a robot? Is it not a robot? That's now opened up the question of like, what does it mean to be agentic as a human, right? This whole NPC dialogue is now scoped down to, well, it doesn't ask the right question. So that to me indicates that this argument's sort of already lost in terms of the AI's capability. And then the second one is this idea that, well, the AI can't ask the right questions because it doesn't have perfect information unless it's plugged in via Neuralink. And so then you're like, well, if it doesn't have perfect information, then it can't be a perfect executor. So the idea of socialism in the limit can't occur. And I agree with you. Like socialism doesn't make any sense. And these AIs, which are going to create vast wealth disparities and enormous dislocations in the job market, are actually not going to be the solution for socialism either. People will push for it like we haven't seen ever, and it will ultimately fail. So
I like the idea of sortition, and apparently the Irish government uses a version of sortition to get a sense of representative democracy. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, tell me more about how Ireland, which mimetically doesn't seem like it's doing too well, should be the model for everyone else.
Well, they avoid some issues around that are politically contentious by having a random group of Irish citizens on a panel that lets them vote on things and then get to understand what a random set of people, which is going to be representative sample, would care about an issue like abortion that would normally be very divisive, and people would kind of do different things to try to make it seem like their side is larger. When in the end,
yeah, I like this kind of idea in theory, which is basically like someone random from the phone book is better than anyone from Harvard, right? It's kind of like that in the limit.
Well, for understanding their own desires, yeah. Otherwise, it's just the elite's desires, which can be good in some ways, but it can be problematic.
Well, to the extent that the elite feel a responsibility for everyone else in society, it's good, and to the extent that they don't, it's bad. And so there's always sort of that trade-off between nobility and aristocracy.
Yeah, or in the sense if they're trying to be forward-looking more than someone who's not as educated would be.
Yeah. Well, so do we have elite AI or noble AI? That'll be the question that we leave the viewers with because I got to go.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, ending the stream. Boom.